everyone. This is Dua, a consultant clinical psychologist and an OCD specialist. So, welcome to a new video. Today, we'll be discussing about what is OCD. So, let's discuss about it. So, obsessive compulsive disorder (OCD) is a condition where people experience persistent unwanted thoughts, urges, or images that are obsessions that cause distress. And to reduce this anxiety, they feel compelled to repeat certain behaviors or mental acts that are compulsions, such as cleaning, checking, or counting. Unlike ordinary habits or worries, OCD symptoms are intrusive, time consuming, and it often takes an hour daily and interfere with daily life. People with OCD usually recognize their thoughts as unrealistic but still feel unable to stop the cycle, often fearing something bad will happen if they resist the ritual. According to DSM-5 TR, obsessions in OCD are not just ordinary worries, they are unwanted intrusive thoughts or images that feel impossible to escape. They create overwhelming fear, guilt, or disgust even when the person knows these thoughts aren't logical. To ease the anxiety, people often turn to rituals like washing, checking, or repeating. But the relief is only temporary and the cycle begins again. These obsessions can appear in many ways: fear of germs, doubts that something terrible might happen, and disturbing a taboo thoughts, or a relentless need for order and perfection. For someone with OCD, it's not about choice, it's about being trapped in a storm of thoughts they never wanted. The thoughts can be about harming oneself, it can be about even if one wants to suppress these obsessions, they can't because anxiety is so high. And what about compulsions? So, compulsions are repetitive behaviors or mental rituals that someone with OCD feels driven to perform in order to ease the distress caused by their obsessions. While these actions may bring relief, a brief relief, the comfort is temporary still, and the urge to repeat them only grows stronger over time. In several cases, compulsions can consume hours of the day, leaving little room for a normal life. They may include endless hand washing, scrubbing, cleaning, arranging objects with perfection, but checking locks, switches over and over, and checking constant reassurance, or repeating tasks, avoiding the rigid rules or numbers. And they might do something to, like for instance, they might believe this do in certain numbers, and they might believe in certain rules, they want to follow that. And for many, avoiding certain places or people become another silent compulsion and an attempt to prevent the unbearable anxiety that obsession triggers. What makes compulsion so painful is not the act itself, but the prison of repetition they create, robbing a person of peace, freedom, and the ability to live fully. So according to the clinical significance, you will be experiencing a marked significant distress and disruption in your daily life, in your social, occupation, personal life, and your areas of functioning must be disrupted. Okay, so for this OCD and for the obsessions and compulsions, there is a cycle that a person usually follows. OCD is more than just liking things in order, it's a loop of obsessions and compulsions that can dominate daily life. And this becomes a vicious cycle. Then temporary relief reinforces the compulsion, strengthens the obsession over time. And pretty soon, a person might spend hours each day trapped in this loop and constantly managing anxiety and compulsion. Like this cycle of OCD is in present in front of you, and you guys can see that there is an obsessive thought that is causing anxiety, and you want to do the anxiety is so high, okay, and to relieve this obsessive thought and this anxiety, you would do the compulsive behavior to get a temporary relief, okay, that you have done something, okay, but still this loop will again keep on going, okay. This won't stop. This is a complete cycle. Now let me explain you. Imagine a person who worries they left a stove on, that is obsession, okay? And then they feel anxiety and they check the stove multiple times and then they feel the relief only to worry again later and the actions help briefly and now the worry escalates and the cycle continues, okay? If this keeps on going, okay, for instance, like there it is written, like what if I hurt someone without realizing it, what if I get contaminated and make my family sick, and these such sort of thoughts, okay, will keep on going in your mind, okay, and then it causes anxiety and distress, and the obsession triggers intense anxiety, guilt, and disgust. And you'll feel an urgent need to neutralize this thought. And for this, what you would do is compulsion. Compulsions are repetitive behaviors. Okay, the actions that you perform to reduce the anxiety that are caused by obsessions. Okay, whatever your rituals are, whatever your thought is saying to you, you have to perform this thing. For instance, if one feels like, okay, I might get the germs from there, or okay, this area is not clean, so they would go and they would clean the place again and again and again, okay, just to get relief. And if they feel like the door they left was open, so they would go again and check the door if it is closed or if it is open. And for instance, they might a lot of clients that visit me, they report that there was a client of mine that he said that he is getting constant thoughts of giving divorce or saying these three words of divorce to his wife, okay. There's so many, they are not just uh, 1 2 3, they're not these sort of things. This can be about, like, you can have any sort or any type of thought, okay, that can appear in front of you. It can be in image form, it can be in thought form, it can be in any form, okay, but this thought is constantly going in your mind, okay. So the compulsion gives a temporary relief, but it reinforces obsession, anxiety, and the compulsion loop. Okay. So after you have done your compulsion, your anxiety drops. Okay. And this reinforces the behavior. Okay. And then you have to do this again and again and again. So, do you ever have a thought that won't go away, one that makes you anxious and leading you to repeat the same action only to stuck in this loop again? So, this is the cycle of OCD, okay? So this is again an example of how obsession and anxiety and then compulsion and the relief would go. Like, did I close the door? If I didn't, something might break in. So rising in fear, and you'll be restless, rechecking the door multiple time, and anxiety reduces after checking, but only it gives you a temporary relief. Okay. So what causes OCD? Basically, OCD can be due to genetics, okay, due to genetic predisposition. It can be any abnormalities. It can be due to neurotransmitter dysfunction. It can be your maladaptive cognitive patterns, that these beliefs are always irrational, okay, but they still exist. And then there are environmental stressors. Environmental factors are most common in my clients that I usually see, because for instance, if you were sick or someone has said something to you, so this might trigger in your mind and you think like, okay, I have to do this again and again and again. There are multiple triggering factors. There are multiple events that lead you to develop these thoughts. Okay, this can be trauma, this can be anything, like this can be bullying, this can be if someone has said something to you. So multiple stressors, multiple things can lead you to develop OCD. Okay, so how can you break the cycle? We'll talk later in other videos too about the treatment of OCD. But the to break the cycle of OCD, yes, it is possible. It is possible to manage that, and it can be done with medications, with therapy. You can do CBT, you can do ERP, you can do MBCT. MBCT is really effective in reducing obsessions and compulsions. So there are multiple factors that we can use, and generally I use eclectic approach because I believe that that is highly useful, and every professional they use multiple approaches and multiple other techniques that they think that is very useful client. But I personally believe that every client is unique in their own symptoms, in their own stories, in their everything. Okay, so I formulate my treatment plan according to the need of the client. So this is all for today. So by the end, I would say that don't ever hesitate to seek for help, okay, for therapy. Okay, don't feel bad about anything. This can be manageable and this can be managed. Okay, be hopeful. Okay, don't think like, okay, this won't get over. No, this is possible. Everything is possible. Okay, there are a lot of clients that are now living normally. Okay, that are managing the OCD very well, and they're managing normal life. So I would suggest you all not to lose hope. Okay, so we'll just keep on discussing this later in our videos too. So for this, I would say just stay positive, think positive. Okay, we'll keep on discussing the other treatments too. Okay, so till then, take care. Bye.